Formidable Forms bills themselves as the most advanced WordPress forms out there. Is that the case? I don't know. So I'm going to try it and find out for myself, and you guys can get a front row seat to this drive. So first, let's kind of go back to the Formidable Forms website here and take a look at what they got. I'm on the pricing page. Let's go back to the home page, and we can see they do calculator forms, they do payment forms, registration forms, typical contact forms, surveys, directories, listings, all kinds of stuff here. This form builder looks like many of the other premium WordPress form builders out there. They're calling it the easiest form builder. It's got visual stylizer, and this is something that I think a lot of form builders kind of lack on. I mean, they say they've got a visual stylizer, but it's pretty limited. It doesn't really, get you what you want, where you want. You really have to use some custom CSS if you really want to make things happen. Repeater fields, I'm not quite sure what those are. And okay, so we can build advanced forms. There's conditional logic. There's multi-page forms. What else? You can manage the forms, displays the data. Okay, so, this is nothing, I don't see anything revolutionary here. This is a lot of stuff that some of the other good form builders out there like WP Forms and Fluent Forms have. In the features, drag and drop builder, radio buttons. That visual form stylizer. If you're like me, it's kind of just like, this is all nice and all, but everybody has their own little features and benefits. You really don't know until you jump into it. So let's just kind of jump ahead to the pricing here. Get Formidable Forms. $50 a year, $99 a year. It looks like this is just for one site. I'm not really sure. Let's click seal. All right, so one site, 3 sites, 15 sites. Where do things start going out? All right, so at $50 a year, $99 a year, you don't get calculator. Let's see what you don't get here. Merge fields in post content. That doesn't seem like something that many of us are going to be using. And then automations. Okay, so it's not until you get to the business plan that you actually get to integrate with Zapier and all these other APIs. So if you're passing stuff around like I am, I do a lot with lead generation, you're probably going to need the business plan. Same thing with integration. So it seems like Basic has most of the functions except for that calculator and the integration. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead here and sign up for them. I'm not sure if I'm going to test the calculator or not, but I'm going to sign up to the Plus just so I have it. And then I'm going to install it on my WordPress website. So let me do that really quickly. Okay, I've installed Formidable Forms. It was really a pretty simple and easy process. Basically, once you paid, you downloaded and installed the plugin, and then you went into your account, you got the license key, boom, that ended up getting us to where we are now. One of the things that's interesting here is styling and script. Load form styling, and it was by default on every page of my site. I'm going to set it to only applicable pages. I don't know why you'd want to load the scripts and the styling on every page of your website. I know Contact Form 7 has done this on my sites. It loads the script of Contact Form 7 and some of the add-ons that we have for it, like we've got a drag and drop uploader to it for it, and that runs on every page of my site, and that kind of slows it down a little, so we've had to take steps to disable that. I guess this is a setting right here. I'm just going to go only on applicable pages and update. So once we update, okay, it toggled over here, toggled me away from Forms Lite, and let's just go to Forms and jump right into creating a page here. Or a form. No new forms, all right, so add a new form. Looks like we get to save templates here, and then they've got some pre-filled templates. Ooh, these calculators are going to be cool to play with. But I like going for multi-step forms, so I'm going to go a blank form from scratch, and we're just going to say testing multi-step. This thing seems like it's going real slow, so I'm going to log into my cPanel on another screen here. And while I'm doing this, log into my cPanel and see how much resource I'm using on this hosting account here. This is not on the live host. This is on a dev host that I've kind of got a lot of crap going on. So let's see if it's the actual Formidable forms or not. Okay. Anyways, though, we get radio buttons, all this stuff. Page break, that's what we're looking for. Embed form, address. Okay, so one thing I notice is that the credit card is toggled out. Credit card fields are not available on your plan. Please upgrade. Okay, so I guess what they're trying to tell me here is that on the business plan, or on the plus plan, which is what I got, you don't get the credit card field. So that means you got to pay for business. I just got plus for the sake of this demo. Signature, okay, so that must be a business field. All right. But anyways, we got all the forms we need here. Let's just kind of see what we can piece together. I like to start off by radio, and I like to do a lot of lead gen and build quotes. So I'm going to do radio button, and then where's email? We got phone. I'm going to use phone. And then we can do email, and let's find a name. Do we have a name field? What are field options? Okay, that must be what we get to when we go to one of those. One thing I don't like about it is that there's no search function. On some of the other form builders, you can kind of just start typing in. I guess I'm just going to have to do a Control F and type in name. That's interesting. They don't have a name field, so I guess I should just use the text field. That'd probably be the best one. Let's put text. I want to get my text above my email. No, too much. There we go. All right, no, I was trying to get text, email, and then phone. Can't quite get it. There we go. Text, email, phone. What is user ID? Is that going to pop up like a name? No. Looks like I've already got it on here. Okay, so we got that. I still can't believe there's a name field. That just boggles my mind. Or there is no name field. Text, but we're going to have a first name and a last name, so can I column this? I don't really see any way of doing columns. I probably should have clicked update before I clicked over to settings, by the way. All right. I'm not seeing anything here. Let's go back to the builder. Hopefully I still have all my fields, which I do. That's good. But I'd like to have a side-by-side, so I'm going to just search this real quickly here and probably fast-forward the video, see if it's possible. Okay, I found this. How do I place multiple fields in the same row? Simply open the field options for the field to align, add one of our predefined classes to the CSS layout classes box, and no more messing with customized HTML. A two-column is simple. Add the section field to your form section heading and give it a form first class, or form, whatever this code means here. If you don't want to see the heading, set the label position to none. This creates one column. And that's it. Okay. All right, well, this is more complicated than other form builders that I've used. More complicated than most of them. So let's just try this real quick with our text. Okay. So this makes it a little bit better. It's not going. Just enter, tab, click out of it, close. Not really sure what happened here. Just go like that. And I guess update. Let's preview it and see if we've got these texts into columns. This preview on a blank page. That did work. What about in theme? What does this do? I think this is going to be on a default page. Not really doing much of anything. But that is how we do it. But it kind of sucks because, if we open, as you know, in this page here, or in the preview, it shows double column, whereas here, it doesn't actually do that. That's weird. But now we can just put first name. And then let's make that look a little bit better. Last name. And let's move these fields up to where we want them. There we go. I'm going to preview. Well, we know in theme doesn't work too well for us here. On a blank page. I guess I didn't move them up all the way, or did I? Let me click update. There we go. So we got this. And, okay, we can do all this stuff with it. Still don't really get to stylize it, or still haven't seen it stylized. Next, let's try the multi-step, because I really like working with multi-step forms. So let's do that. And I don't see any settings there. That just collapses it. What about this? Okay, so that gives it a field key, but I'm not seeing any options for it to advance. It would be nice if you didn't have to select next and you could just select one of these buttons, and then it would go on to the next step. But let's update and preview again. Let's wait for that to save. While that's going on, I'm still testing or trying to log into my hosting account to see what's up with this. All right, so we have it, but yeah, it's not auto advancing. The user still has to click next. Next, okay. So it does fundamentally work, and then it gets a submit. Now, is there an option for a progress bar? I'm not seeing anything too cleanly displayed. What is a scale? Oh, so it's just like a fill in your rating. I don't know. Let me Google this real quick here. Okay. So adding a progress bar is done by going to the form settings and setting the pagination to show a progress bar. So if we go settings, and then stylings and buttons. Now let's go back to this. You could adjust the settings and setting. Okay, it doesn't really help me. So, forms. Let's go back to general. Pagination. Here we go. Show progress bar. With steps, hide the page numbers with steps. Okay, so we can label them. Just update and preview. Okay. All right, so we get a little progress bar there. Let's see what styling and buttons has to do. No, nothing too crazy. Final thing before we go into stylizing this form, let's go into actions and notifications and see if we can do conditional thank you pages, right? Based on what a user selects. So in other words, if a user selects option 1 here, then we send them to a different thank you page, and if they select option 2. So we can do actions and notifications. All right, so these are all going to APIs and other external programs. It can send an email. Can it do the conditional thank you page? On submit, redirect to URL. Do not store. There's no way to retrieve. Okay. Okay, so here we go. It can do conditionals, right? So radio buttons, first name, so radio buttons, 8. So that's just the field, actually. So let's just try toggling conditions. If radio buttons equals... Okay, so it's not, it doesn't give me, it doesn't pre-fill it here. It doesn't give me my options. In other form builders, it gives me some of the options to select. It gives me the options that I have on the form to select. That makes it a lot easier. So it can do conditionals, but it's not the easiest function. Now ID key. Select a field. All right, that's by ID, but what about by key? Radio buttons equals. So you kind of have to go back and probably not open it, you don't have to, but you'd have to see what the options were and figure out how to select them. So let's open this into another tab here. Sorry guys, it's late. My mind is all over the place. I'm like, I'm going to test this thing out tonight before I go to sleep and get this done. Been meaning to try this out. So radio buttons, option 1, option 2, advanced, field key, bulk edit options. It doesn't really make it clear how to submit this. So, I mean, obviously it can be done. And I would probably guess that, you know, option 1 is going to be the higher of the two here. So, and I'm still, oh no, because they're two separate radio buttons, right? So conditional content here. So if that first one, and this is the first step of the form, this one equals option 1, let's paste this in here. Nope, that still doesn't work. So I'm not going to keep trying to sort this out here. I think documentation would show how to do it, but overall, relative to other form builders that I've worked with, particularly WP forms and Fluent forms, it's not really stacking up here on making this happen. So we got that. Let's kind of finally go in here and look at the styling and buttons. Not styling and buttons, excuse me. Let's go back to the builder. And how do we stylize the front end is what I am going for in this. Settings, field options. I'm not really too sure, so I'm going to have to go through their documentation again on this. All right, I found something here. It's got us going to customize form appearance. To do that, you got to go to Formidable and then Style. So it's not actually on the form here. I'm just going to update and save what we've got. And then I should probably look and see what happens after go that. So default, new style. And then in some way, I'd guess you'd have to apply it. Yeah, we'll figure it out when we get there if we want to. So here we go. So let's go in Formidable Styles. Let's go New Style. just going to call it Corey's test form. In general, what can we toggle in here? So the alignment, and then it's got an example field. So I don't like that you're not actually seeing the form itself that you're editing on. This is something that most of them have. This is probably going to, let's see if it'll work with 50. It probably won't. It wants that percent, I think. Max width, yeah, there we go. So cut it down. Alignment. Does alignment work in here? Alignment doesn't really do a ton. Background color. Okay, that kind of stylizes things. Center form on page. Let's see what this does here. I'm not sure why it's changing colors. You have to edit the form, title, fields, the field colors. So checkbox and radio fields, buttons. Let's go back up here and I'm just going to set this to 100% again. I'm just going to click update and see if it stops kind of bugging out like that. There we go. All right, so edit styles, manage custom CSS, okay. Yeah, I mean, this form stylizer really isn't the best. I think some of the other platforms out there have a much better stylization. So let's just kind of wind it down on that note because, I got to say, if this is not something that I really like logging into and using, like some of the other form builders are just way more intuitive. You just kind of open it up and you just know what to do. This one doesn't really seem, well, it's not intuitive. I don't know how else to say that. So I'm not really a big fan of it here. So I really don't see any need to test it further because if I'm not going to like going in and creating a new form and I can't do that easily and just kind of feel at ease when I do it, I'm not ever really going to like it. So, I'm not really going to care about any of these features here. So, before we kind of wind it down, let's just go create a page real quick and stick in this shortcode just so we can see what this looks like on a page that has kind of been formatted. So I'm just going to click on forms. I'm not sure which one I was using here. And then I'm just going to go pages and add new. And we're just going to call this testing Formidable forms. Launch the Thrive Architect. And I'm just going to copy these here. Actually, let's just click on preview. So there's number 2. Guess it's not that one. And I'm going to gamble on it and say that it's this one. For the shortcode, here we are in Thrive Architect. I'm going to do a blank page real quick. And then we're going to set a background area. Background style. Do a gradient. Select this color here. We're going to put it as like a light blue. I'll select this one here and maybe do a... That didn't really look so good, did it? I guess we'll do that. And then we'll set the background to the full width height. Match height to screen. We will stick a little content box in here using Thrive themes, which I love. And I've been building pages similar to this using full screen contact forms as my opt-in pages. Doing very well with them. I do them using Thrive editor, and they work out incredibly well. I love my Thrive editor. Background style. We'll apply that. We'll hit borders and corners. Give it a little bit of a corner, I guess. Content box, yep. And then the background style. Let's give that full-blown opacity. We got our rounded corners on this thing. And then we'll set it up so that it's not floating right up near the top, like so. And finally, paste my Formidable form shortcode in there, save work, and preview. Possibly, I didn't save yet. There we go. So we can see with this, it looks decent. I mean, you can tell that you're on the right path to stylizing, but it's still not very easy to do. So if we kind of had to do a recap here and break it all down, I mean, what would I say about it? Well, first of all, the design, the form builder, not very user-friendly. And I say not very, I mean, you got to understand these are ahead of where they were 5 years ago, but compared to where the tech is now in 2020, almost 2021, relatively this thing is not friendly compared to other alternatives that I've worked with. Front-end styling, not intuitive. I hope that's how you spell it. And then the conditional logic, or conditional thank you page, which I use heavily. Not intuitive either. All right. So these factors here, particularly the form building and the front end styling, I think are major factors with any WordPress contact form that you're going to be using. So if it doesn't really hit it, on that level, and there's many other better options out there, I don't really see where Formidable Forms is going to make a difference. So on that note, I think that you would be better served. I know I personally would be using an alternative. Two of my favorites are WP Forms and then also Fluent Forms. I like Fluent Forms a little bit better than WP Forms because one of the things Fluent Forms does is it's got an automatic next advanced, right? So if you're in here and you just select one of these, like we just select option 2 like that, it just goes on and takes the user to the next step. And that is built into it. So I really like that feature in Fluent Forms. So I'm going to wind this video down here, guys. Look for some of my other videos where I share a little bit more of insight into contact forms. I've got, a great video on how to build a nice multi-step card forms and WP forms. I got how to set up that auto advance through some simple coding on WP forms. And I think on that note, I'm going to do a comparison video here so you guys can really understand the differences and see just what I'm talking about, see how much easier it is to use Fluent Forms instead of Formidable Forms here. Overall, not really impressed with Formidable Forms. So that's a wrap, guys, on this one.